I've titled today's chat, Be Mindful of the Mind Games. This is part one of a series. I'm sure that you'll be familiar with the story of David and Goliath. David was a small character. He was skinny and scrawny. And Goliath, in comparison, he was a giant of a brute, full of brawn. Goliath was a Philistine, and he had the nation of Israel paralyzed in fear with his daily taunts. Goliath was a master mind game player due to his stature and reputation, and he had Israel's elitist fighting warriors trembling in their boots. David enters the scene with a sling, a few pebbles, and his hope anchored in his God to help him to slay the giant. On my journey, I've experienced mind games due to the challenging giants that I've had to face on a daily basis. My mind was consumed with a sense of hopelessness, and I trembled in fear at the giants that screamed within me. Sure, there have been challenging phases to work through on my journey, but due to dwelling overly on the lengthy list of losses, I've experienced anxiety and even panic attacks. I allowed the giant Goliath in my life to convince my mind that there was no hope. There's an adversary to the soul who is relentless in his pursuits to fill our minds and to grip our souls with a sense of hopelessness. My continual dwelling on negative thoughts created fuel for more negative thoughts, which left unchecked can lead to darker thoughts. I was a survivor of meningitis, as challenging as that was, but the adversary of the soul wanted to rob me and to destroy any possible hope in my mind of a brighter tomorrow. By focusing my mind on the seemingly unconquerable giants, the Master tells us to be of good cheer, as we will experience trouble in this world. However, he has overcome the adversary of the soul in this troubled world that tells us in Scripture. However, I allowed my mind to be overwhelmed and to be crippled by the Goliaths in my life, as I couldn't find the strength to refocus my mind, to gain a fresh perspective from the unbalanced and faulty thinking. I was desperate for a peaceful mind. However, I thought that if I dared to grapple with the mind games going on in my thoughts, the giants might eat me alive. So I decided to keep myself busy instead. We live in a world of technology to enhance our lives, so it is said, but is it really? Are we allowing ourselves mindful processing of our thoughts, our feelings and emotions? Technology is a massive part of my life, and I have experienced this myself, as keeping updated is quite a challenge. However, not at the expense of learning and growing through mindful processing of my thought patterns. Being mindful is allowing myself time to process my thoughts and develop my self-view and my self-awareness of who I am, which impacts on my worldview and the way I treat myself and the world. I mentioned it in my previous video that our thoughts run our lives, which is a proverb from the Bible. I had a form of impulsive behaviour, attempting to drive away, or at least to give myself relief from my giant Goliaths, who were chanting their intimidating taunts. I was speaking out my thoughts, which was self-destructive. My mind games focused my thoughts on, look at you, you're a big time loser. You're a freak now, nothing normal about you. And this must be some form of judgment from God for failing to live up to his standards. There were endless mind games going on in my life, night and day, and I tried to drown them out, as I feared that they would lead to a mental breakdown. The story is pretty amazing to where I am today. I live with a sense of purpose each day, and I have a strong and trustworthy anchor to my soul called hope, which is connected to God himself behind the sacred curtains of heaven. This is part 1 of a series in which I will share some of my journey from the land of giant Goliaths and their mind games to building resilience. It's your reaction to adversity, not adversity itself, that determines how your story will develop. A viewer has asked me if any questions can be asked from my chats. That is fine. Please leave them on my Facebook as a comment or on YouTube as a comment. Thank you for taking the time to view this video today.